69, dude! Man, on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a one. You know I be on a one. Man, on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a one.
Hold it.
Hold it. Hold it. In case you guys didn't know, there are Sasquatch. They are real, and they're looking at you right now.
Woo! That's bullshit. That's not real. That stuff's not real. No one's seen one. No one's found a dead body, carcass, skeleton, nothing.
Oh, you must have listened to the Joe Rogan podcast because that's what he said too.
Joe who?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
we don't. No free spam.
No, yeah, we don't need to blow up Joe Rogan.
Yeah. I listen to you guys first. If it's left over, I'll listen to him and whoever he has on there.
Well, welcome back to the show. This is, of course, the 69th,
metaphorically 69. Ooh, perverts.
episode, and we thought it was only perfect.
I'm a Cancer. Cancer, the astral, whatever sign, 6 and 9. My birthday's in July.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying that you were a cancer to this podcast, is what I thought you were.
Yeah, slowly killing it. Yeah. I think you're right. 3 times. Whew, man, all dimensions. Yeah, revisiting.
Remission.
No,
wait.
We talked about it. Like we were driving back from a shoot, and we talked about it. I was like, who are we going to have on for the 69th episode? And we ran through a litany of individuals, but then when it came, you could kind of see it happen at the same time. We landed on, and it was like we turned to each other and like, Nixon. It was just like a perfect.
On the guy said yes.
We did. We sent out a bunch of group messages, and you're the only one that replied. So thank you. Welcome. Glad to have you back.
Good to be here.
No,
I do want to start by. I know you probably have a direction, but fuck that. I do want to start by saying I'm still buzzing. I just got back like 3 days ago from a 7-day trip to Pisgah with 5 of my guys that do the group rides with me. And I'm telling you, I know you guys are wanting to do things like that, and it's going to happen. And I thank all these guys for making it happen because they have like real jobs and kids and wives. And one guy has a donkey that he's very close with. I don't ask questions, but it really is. You guys know the feeling, but it's that time 6 days. And yes, things get weird after day 3. But if you're tight, if everybody's tight, emotionally tight, it just gets better from there. You kind of let your hair down and let loose, and just gets better. The riding is arguably some of the best parts, but the hang after is washing the bikes and letting loose and playing some of this rides music or something someone put on. And it was a beautiful week. That's the kind we'll talk about for forever.
Well, that's actually one of the things I want to talk about because I was actually in Winston-Salem while you were up there. I wasn't too far from you, I guess. While you were doing mountain bikes with your bros, I went to wrestling, a wrestling show with my yearly brothers. I call them, I get to see them once a year. So we all got together watch wrestling. But I think watching your trip, I thought was fascinating because first off, the post kept going. I was like, oh, he's up there on a bros trip. And I was like, maybe 3 or 4 days. And then after a while, I was like, okay, we're going into day 4 and they're still going strong. No one's dead yet. And so I thought it was, I mean, what is that? When you guys plan that, is that planned like way in advance? Is it an impromptu thing? Like how much planning goes into that? Cause that seemed pretty epic.
Epic is the word. Thanks, Epic Bike Shops in Tallahassee for the support. It is. And a lot of it is, we kind of build a group with called the Coast Ride, and in that group we get a lot of things. We get physical like abilities of the people that actually if they show up twice a month because it goes 4 times a month. Real
quick, I don't want to interrupt you. I think it's fantastic you have a fan running, but currently it is blowing directly over the microphone and it sounds like you're on a bike ride. You can have the fan on, just move it closer to you so it's not blowing on the microphone.
It's like one of these weird, like long, weird things.
Oh, you got a fancy Dyson fan is what you're telling me. You're so rich you can afford a Dyson fan?
Yeah,
I thought we were doing a Vidal Sassoon commercial with your hair just blowing in the breeze. I was like, oh my God,
awesome.
Fabio just saved some pussy for the rest of us.
Oh my word! This mom's not this one. So your question, answer what you're saying is, we do this ride and we all obviously get along, but part of that getting along is we all ride relatively the same pace and we're all into seeing each other succeed. And in this ride, we develop skills and a level of fitness and expectations. And it is a hard ride, but that has been a really easy transition to be like, well, if you guys want to go somewhere, and I know this place for, like I put in the post recently, 30 years, I've been riding up there and guiding trips every year, then we should go and do that. And then that becomes a very easy, and not only is the physical part very important, but also if you vibe. You know, we get guys that come and they have a good time or whatever, but there's a certain like, okay, can I spend 6 days in a bunk bed next to this guy? Can I spend whatever? And that's probably the harder part of the trip. The bike's kind of the easy part. But once you figure out your crew of guys, and I've just kind of put a random feeler out there on Instagram to say like, hey, if you've got a group that wants to do something, talk to me. And I've had now one individual and 2 other clubs reach out and be like, hey, what does this look like? Tell me the details of your trip. So I kind of sent them an itinerary of what we did. And it's not chock full of like, hey, we ride and then we go to the brewery and then we go dancing and then moonshine tasting. It could be that, but we just kind of have a basic guideline of what we liked and what we did, and it can really be anything you want to do. But we do beat the crowds every morning. We have the parking lot and the trails to ourselves. We run into almost zero hikers. We never get rain at that time of year. It's all specifically planned at the time of year, also with people's jobs too. It works out really well.
You guys didn't get any of that storm collateral from that storm at all?
No. I already feel like an asshole anyways, but Elise was here. All of our partners were down here while we're up there. Woo! And we're all feeling bad. But of course, we realize that our partners are not going to say, yeah, come back. But we also hope they do and kind of hope they don't. And it was, but it worked because it did miss us. If we're ever in the cone, thanks to the Mag Lab, if we're ever in the cone, we're definitely not going to get hit. That's been almost 100% so far.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think those kind of trips, just watching it, I mean, obviously you guys rode a ton. How much were you guys riding per day? Like what was the ride load per day?
Okay. So in a weird way, the idea is, and this is our 3rd year with this group, the idea is we get up so effing early that it hurts people's emotions. And that way I'm crushing them early, right? I don't want to crush them from the get-go. We get up, we're out by 5:30. I'll leave 5:50, 6:30. But we get up, we're out to Starbucks at 5:30. What that does, Drew, it gets us to be, and Dale, it gets us to be kitted up and our bike's in the truck and we go to Starbucks, which is a nice toilet too and coffee and everything else. But it kind of gets us out, like we're committed. We're out, we're gone, we're not coming back. The trails are mostly 2 to 5 miles away to drive, which is, you could ride there, but again, we're trying to emphasize on making good time. So then we have our coffee, whatever, do the deed, number 2s. We're out, we hit the trail before sunrise, and you guys want to do a lot of climbing and a lot of downhill. So we're climbing in the dark. I mean, pitch black, no lights, but we're climbing.
Good grief.
By the time we get to the top, it's lighting up to see, and it's like a movie. Looking Glass Rock, the biggest quartz outcropping in the U.S. It's just glowing with the sunlight and the trees, and you can smell the pine, and there's bear everywhere. They say, we didn't see any, but I'm sure there's bear and deer and all kinds. But no hikers, no bikers. We have it to ourselves, which is basically it's about, I guess we did 14 and a half hours of 6 days. So that's two and a bit hours. But the idea is to get off the bike every day, wanting to do more. So no death marches, just up, down, 2 laps. You want to sight it first so we get an idea. And then the second lap, just tears. And all these guys rode really smart. They definitely took chances. I was definitely puckered up on the front myself. But there's we wait for each other. We hang out. We're encouraging. It was, I'm still, like I said, I'm still reeling from that trip.
Yeah. That kind of stoke goes a long way when you're, like just that energy back and forth. I think it's fascinating because if I think about riding times, like some of the stuff, throwing them under the bus and driving over them a couple times, but like we went up for an event with Chase and Chase Draper, that is. And we ended up pre-riding before a race event. We were filming. This is one of the bumping grinds, but we were so burned out after that ride. We rode something like 14, 15 miles, but then had to like go up and down the mountain and get ready to shoot the next day, that like riding the bike was no longer fun. It was a process in order to move camera equipment. And it's one of those things, like, it's interesting because I think a lot of times we get so excited to ride so much, and then all of a sudden I don't know if I feel like riding today. I never want to hear somebody say that if we're on a riding trip. That should never come out of your mouth unless you're sick, right? That's different.
But it's so hard, and you guys know this. It's so hard. Can you pan to Dale real quick?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I just want to make sure he's still in the room.
Here. I'm still here.
I can't believe
he's quiet today. I don't know what his deal is. He's just laughing.
I'm just giggly.
He's probably watching his phone. But
he's
as you
watching
guys know,
Twitter.
it's so hard to get off your bike when you're in the Stoke. It's so hard to rip yourself emotionally, physically off that bike to be like, all right, well, that was great. But these guys have done it. Most of them have done it now 2 years in a row. One guy's done 3 years, which I can't believe. But there is a method to the madness, and most of them, to the new riders, they're like, oh, I guess we are done. Well, let's find out tomorrow. And then by the 6th day, I mean, we're all feeling it, but we're all able to ride and not struggle. Just get it done and be like, all right, man, we made it. Chopped it off. I think we had one broken wheel and one broken derailleur hanger. And that was it for 6 bikes.
That's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid turnaround.
That's on my back. That's a chopper.
I was going to say, I'll wait for your chopper to pick you up. Hey, so when you go, did you take guys that are local to you there? So, like, the fear is always, hey, I'm going to end up with some novice riders or beginner riders on a trip that's pretty epic like that, that's in a trail that, because you don't know everybody's skill level, right? It's the same thing with Summit Bike Academy. Toby makes everybody take all the classes because he doesn't know what skill. He can't teach you how to jump if he doesn't know if you know how to ride a bike. Like, if you take a trip like that, is there ever a fear that you're like, oh man, this kid might not make it, or this guy or whatever?
I like what you said. I like that you said, you know.
Oh, he froze.
What if he didn't and he was just sitting there very quietly?
That could happen too, but his hair's not blowing.
Why does Nixon need better internet?
Because the helicopter scrambled his internet when it went over, I think.
That's exactly right. Well, this is a good moment to go ahead and just shout out to our sponsors while Nixon is frozen. He's still frozen right here. Like we're waiting for him to pop back in. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, maybe he can even hear. Oh, now he's gone.
He's gone.
So we will say, we'll get Nixon back here in a moment. But we'll say Dale mentioned Summit Bike Academy. So shout out to Summit Bike Academy.
And
again,
the new documentary, pretty awesome.
Yeah,
right here, right now on Amazon Prime.
Right here, right now.
Yeah,
it's also
cool.
based on a Jesus Jones song.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. It's really cool.
It's
cool
out there.
Story.
It's there.
Yep.
Have a watchy. It's about the Bogue Chittas. Mm-hmm. Anyway, if you have a chance, check that out. SummitBikeAcademy.com if you want to learn, or shredwithsummit.com if you want to learn and get your skills up. Also, the other thing I was going to mention, and I'll let Dale talk about the Jagrundy Jubilee or whatever, which is a build, tune, ride project.
We'll talk about that with Nixon.
Yeah, it's a joint. But I did want to mention that, I do the advertising. I'll be transparency in advertising. We're doing the advertising for, or I am, my company, Craft Show, is doing the advertising for Lincoln Parish Park. They're excited to be on the podcast. So we obviously have plugged them. If you guys haven't been over there, it's a really great spot. But what blows me away is the amount of people in the comments and the feedback of people going to ride in Lincoln Parish Park. They're riding the hub and they're talking about how much fun it is. If you haven't been over there yet, please head over to experiencelincoln.com/the hub, and you can actually see the video. Dale and I made it. Dale stars in it. Dale's even the poster boy of it. But if you have a chance, check it out. If you're in that direction or looking for somewhere to ride, totally worth it. Now, I will say when it comes to be fall, I can only imagine how much more fun it could be. Mm-hmm. You could plan a proper weekend, even if you're not a big fan of who's there, Louisiana Tech.
Yep.
If you're not a huge Louisiana Tech fan, maybe you're a Jaguars fan, or maybe you're another Sun Belt fan, or you just like football, you literally could probably get some pretty cheap tickets, go watch a football game, ride your bike. There's a pizza place there that's also a brewery. There's both the pizza is good, the beer is really good, and there's actually some really top-notch sushi, according to Toby, who shoved some into Dale's mouth. So the first time Dale ate sushi.
It wasn't a weird thing. that he shoved it into my mouth.
I don't know. It was only weird because you made it weird.
Yeah, it's only gay if
It's
you make
only-
it gay.
It's only weird if you
Oh,
giggle.
he's back.
All right, here's Nixon back from our commercial break.
Hey, we'd lost you there for a second.
My shit overheated.
Oh.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's pretty hot here in hashtag Trailahassee.
Well, we went ahead and did our commercial break while you were.
Well, you
were
can turn
away,
your
so-
fan. I don't hear your fan now.
Yeah, the
I
fan.
moved it off the table. I figured that was probably vibrating quite a bit. I took the
You're
cover
good.
off the. I took the cover off the phone and did all that. I probably should have done that earlier.
So we missed your thought. I hope you still have it, but it was about the novice riders or like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so you I like what you said. You said, are you nervous about a new rider coming on these epic rides? And I try to be succinct with my words, and I like what you're saying. And I think what you're saying is, are you nervous or apprehensive about somebody being on the ride that isn't going to enjoy it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've all been on those rides, and I think more mortifying than being that person is running a group and having a person that is having a miserable time. So yes,
Yeah.
but our Coles ride, it sounds corny, but it does develop people physically and vibe wise for this thing. You know, we got people that wouldn't ever want to come on a trip like that. And that's pretty obvious. Then we got people that do want to, but we fill up pretty quick because we can only really do 6 or 7 people at a time. But yes, I think that in this case, we've got one club that has a lot of beginners, and we want to do a beginner ride, which means we can probably go out in the middle of the day, and we can do more cool stuff like in town or whatever, and kind of see Asheville or Brevard or whatever we're going to, and make it kind of a bike and something else trip. So that's why we have a base of what we do. Not everybody wants to rip 5-inch travel bikes in their tights and pass locals on big bikes with visors and shorts, and they're like, oh yeah, but you guys, come on, man. There's always some excuse. I'm not sure what it is. I can't ever hear them because they're behind me, but not everybody wants to do that. Some guys want to, bust out the peace pipe halfway up, and that's great. Everybody's got a group. There's so much in the momentum of getting a group going. When this the first trip we had 3 years ago was me and one other poor guy who got stuck with me for 5 days, and that was we went. We had a couple guys that were going to come, and they bailed out. That's okay because we said we're going anyways. We're going, took the pictures, told the stories, and then we're like, within a month, we already had 4 filled, and then 2, and we filled up in probably 3 months. We got back on Tuesday, and today is Monday. So not even a week later, everybody has already re-upped for next year already. And we're doing this. We're doing the same shit. We do take one day out and then change it, do something else, whatever the least favorite day was. But
Yeah.
it's something that people really want to do, and the chance for a trip with Ride the Reb or those guys down south, Airborne,
Airborne.
Soul Jam and all those guys. There's a bunch of opportunities there to do a bunch of stuff. You don't even need to do that either. But there's a way to get up there with a bunch of people that have a great time. It doesn't have to be Brevard either, but that is right now the mecca for arguably the United States, but definitely the East Coast.
I think it's fascinating because I think that is one of the levels of riding that is only attainable if you have a veteran rider around. And what I mean is you got to have somebody, not age, but you do have to have somebody with enough wisdom to understand that process, which is you. And so my question, I want to jump back to the first time you guys go, or not first time, you've been going for 30 years or something, but that first ride, when you take a group up there and it's just you and another guy, were you close to that guy? Because Dale and I are pretty close, and we've talked about a lot. We've had like deep conversations. We can talk about philosophy, and we can talk about politics, not get mad at each other. Was this guy that close to you, or was it mildly awkward and you guys had to get close in a short amount of time?
All of those. We were close. It got mildly awkward, and then we got really close.
Yeah, of course. Okay, good.
Which it is. You're right. The veteran rider. So there's something to the ability of riding, but there's something also to the recognizing what a trip like that takes, and if these guys have it, and how to shape that trip. And also, by the way, always ready if shit goes south. Be ready to act. Be ready to change the trip or do whatever. The idea is to have as much fun as possible, and that's if it means we're going to do the same trail every day, or we're going to stop riding and go to breweries all day. Then that's what it is. But these guys are amazing, and I've ridden with them so much on this Coles ride, week after week after week for a couple of years now, that we all know each other really well. That it was a real bummer when one of them had to drop out because it was like, oh, didn't kill the vibe, but it was just like such a bummer because everybody knew not to call this guy, not to tease him. We're all like protective of each other, and we're not trying to we're not trying to rub it in his face or anything. But yeah, there's a lot to realizing that as much as my veteran riding helps that trip, the magic is the dudes that listen to an asshole like me. That's the magic. They don't have to. They could pay somebody money and get a way better experience and do this, do that. But I think the magic is those guys are bringing that all together and making a fun trip out of driving really far to ride some really scary trails and have a blast.
But see, I don't peg you as being the guy that if something goes sideways, where you're just like massive F-bomb, everything sucks. I just see you being the pivot guy who's like, hey guys, by the way, here's 12 breweries. They're within walking distance. We're going to do a crazy thing called pizza, ice cream, pizza, where we eat a pizza, then we get ice cream and eat more pizza. We're going to destroy our bodies in one way or another. I just see you being the guy that pivots. And that's the other side of it versus like, I did a tour out in, I had a guide out in Phoenix when I was out there for a trip, and he was a great dude. Same vibe as you. Same thing. When we got done riding, he was like, do you like tacos? I was like, I do. I very much like tacos. He was like, well, let me tell you, what's your favorite type of taco meat? And I was like, I mean, I'm good with whatever. He goes, the best asada taco I've ever had is right around. And he took me to the ghetto. I followed him, and we go to the ghetto, and and I didn't speak Spanish. Luckily, the guy translated, and he got me the best. But he pivoted. He just knew that the rest, our day was done. It was too hot to ride anymore in Phoenix, and he took and got me tacos and hung out. I think that's you. I think you're that kind of guy that just generates that, and I think that's what makes a Nixon ride. I'm not saying you're starting a business, but that's what I would argue makes a Nixon ride the ride I want to go on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you're right. That is so much of it. The first trip was El Ranchero every day. Me and this guy, as soon as we got done, I think the first day I was like, he's like, now what? It was like 9:30 in the morning, and the parking lot was jammed. We got there, the parking lot was empty. DuPont is a shit show right now. After 8 o'clock, there's people almost embarrassingly begging for parking spots, families with vans and crying kids in the back and freaking, and no bikes. And meanwhile we're done, and this guy pulls out a cider for me out of the cooler like a magician. And I'm sitting in the back of the truck, and he's like, now what? I'm like, oh, dude, I mean, if we can, let's go eat lunch at 10 o'clock. And we did. And we kind of set that precedent to be like, okay, let's get the bikes back, let's eat, and then the rest of the day of ours. And these are all old dudes. They're all my age. They're napping by 12:30. And what a real vacation. Pin it. By the way, thanks for pegging me earlier. I appreciate that, Drew. Pin it, get something to eat, and then nap. And then you got the rest of the afternoon to whatever. All we do really is just talk about our partners and how wonderful they are for letting us go.
Oh, I'm sure it's all. I'm sure it's all.
Come on, man.
Hey, that was the hurricane might have been your karma for leaving them back. Some of those conversations, but I think what you said early on in the story, though, or the lead up to it, was the most important thing. And I think that's what we've tried to do at the Rebellion too, is that you don't want to say you vet people to let them be a part of the gang, but you almost do. You don't want oil in the water. Like, you have a flowing system, and those dudes that you rode with forever, you already know who they are. You know how they fit. You know what it's going to be like. I guess I go back to the same, like, I don't want to get stuck on a trip that I don't know anyone that's like, oh God, this is going to be God knows what. But like,
Yeah.
So example, my in-laws decided to go on a church trip this weekend.
Right.
They are not of the same political leaning as their church mates. And they decided they're just going to go get on a bus with these Southern Baptist church people, and they're from the north, and they're going to go on a mystery trip to wherever. And they end up at a, what did I tell you it was?
The Shakespeare
the
Festival.
Shakespeare Festival, a Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery. Probably not the place they thought they were going to end up, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to just go get on a random bus with people that just, the only thing we have one thing in common, and it might be a bike. So I think what you said originally is, like, you've vetted these guys, you've known these guys, you have a relationship with them, and I think that a trip like that grows that bond even further. And guys that hunt feel it, guys that fish feel it, guys that do all these other things, they get to do these types of things, and it's a bonding thing that we'd lost because we're not hunters and gatherers anymore.
I don't think we lost it. I think it's still there, and I think even if you're at a Rubik's Cube convention, you have that with those guys or girls or whatever they are at the day and age. But it goes both ways. It's the vetting, but it's also the people that you're vetting are also vetting me at the same time. Be like, do I trust this
Right.
guy? If I'm, ass up in a ditch, in a creek, and my collarbone sticking out of my, is he going to be the guy to fuck,
Right.
or is he going to be the guy to be like, all right, let's bury him here? I'm going to be very efficient either way. We're going to make it happen where everybody's happy. All these guys have great life insurance policies. I'm sure their partners would be all right with whatever happens.
But you got to be careful because you're going to need a ride out because you can't drive.
I can
Or
drive.
you don't drive.
I drive. No, I drive. I got my license a couple years ago. I do drive. I heard you guys say that in the podcast the other day, and I was
Yeah,
like,
but you weren't there to defend yourself
Yeah. I love driving
because it's new.
Because I never had to. It's like, oh my god, 35 miles an hour. I'm not even sweating. This is crazy.
I just have this picture of you like the big truck driver style, just biggest wheel we've ever seen. Face just barely over the rim, just looking
With
out,
the
and just being
rainbow steering wheel eye, like an old lady. Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. So one of the things about this is, jokingly, it is episode 69.
69.
And I said that to somebody, and they're like, "It seems like you guys have done a lot more." It's like, no. We only do 2 episodes, or we do 2 episodes a month. And if you think about it, so we're getting into it, and I of course we've talked about a ton of stuff, but a lot of it has been just these ideas of like what we're talking about now, like finding ways to enrich ourselves and be better men or people or whatever, humans is the better way to put it. But like knowing that you've been writing for a little bit of time, when you think back, we've talked about some of your history before, but I don't think we ever ask you, like, is there a favorite Nixon writing moment? Is there a story that you can tell without NDA violations and lawsuits? Is there a story you can tell, or is there something that in your brain, obviously present story is pretty big, but I mean, is there anything else that stands out to you over the course of time that you're like, holy shit, I survived this, or I rode this, or I did this, that's just outstanding?
So many. There's so many stories, most of them made up, which those are the good ones. But it's as cheesy as the last ride with friends. I mean, I ride by myself. I love it. I rode with my buddy Joe the other day. It was super quiet. We do with a lot of the same crew, we do a Z2, Zone 2 Sundays, and it's 4+ hours at Ali's Zone 2, which means we're just cruising, and nobody goes fast, and it's great. So that was the ride yesterday, and I still think about that. As far as like stories that people want to hear, I feel like I'm so old that it doesn't translate. For example, I'm at the National Championships, 2007 or 8 in Mammoth, California. And I'm there with Cannondale, and I'm working my ass off. I'm washing bikes. I'm getting people ready, and I'm doing some of the mechanics, but not the lead mechanic stuff. I'm racing, but I'm also there they'll pay for me if I do all this extra stuff, which I love to do. I love to be the guy behind the curtain. And I'm doing they brought the Kamikaze race back, which is this 10,000 feet up on this like peak that looks like this crazy bald mountain, and it's down to a lake, around a lake, and then bomb down dirt road with all these like ski drift fences. It's iconic for me. Like, I've seen the pictures. I can't believe I'm here, but I have to work. So I'm working, and there's a call for the last gondola to go up for the last run before tomorrow. And I have a 5-inch travel bike. I'm super under bike, but I'm fine with that. It's a Cannondale Prophet at the time. I love that bike. And I was borrowing it from the team truck because I was there to race cross country. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to go do a run real quick. He goes, yeah, you didn't take any runs already? Like, go ahead. So I'm going up, and there's this huge line to the gondola. I'm not going to make it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go back to work. And I'm walking around the gondola, and this one guy leaves around the corner. He goes, hey, where are you going? I'm like, I'm not going to make that run. It's this last one. He goes, come here. And this guy, he comes out from underneath where the gondola takes off from this little building, and his buddy, this old crusty blonde dude, comes out. He's like, hey, man. And I'm like, oh, they think I'm like him. I'm not. I'm not those guys, but right now I'm those guys. So they have a back door, literally a back door that they open, and it goes right in, and we get in line in front of everybody. Nobody sees it. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. We're going up, and the guy goes, what's your name? I go, Nixon. And he looks at this tall, crusty dude. He goes, Nixon. I start laughing. I'm like, I've been through this a billion times. I'm fine. I'm getting my ride, so I'm good. We get up to the top, and it's like every magazine picture I've seen. You're on the top, and everything looks like a tiny little map of little squares. Like, like miles away. It's huge. The wind's howling. The sun's getting a little bit lower, and I'm like, all right, well, there's no. You can time yourself on your watch, before Strava. I'm gonna go for it and just get a good run and get the course in. So I go down and I'm bombing down this hill. It's loose gravel, pumice, like flying everywhere. It's super sketchy. These turns are like 30 miles an hour. These bikes aren't designed to do 30 miles an hour. But I'm going. I'm past two dudes. And I'm like, oh man, guy from Florida doing all right. And then some chick on the outside, 2 feet from this like 8,000 foot ledge, just rails by me, wing. And I'm like, okay, I'm back to my senses. Stay on, and then we get to this hill. It's probably like a 30 foot up, and there's 15 dudes and girls with their downhill bikes trying to get up here. I've got a little lid on, no full face helmet, tights on, and all that stuff, and I just shoot right up that hill like, oh shit, there's 15 people. The chick, I got chicked, and then I chicked her. We go around this lake, and then I run to those two guys. They catch up to me, and they're like, hey man, pretty good. I'm like, all right, you want to go to the rest? I'm like, yeah, please, let's go to the rest. We start going down. We kind of trade spots a little bit. We're going. These guys are like, they're old, but they're ripping. I'm like, all right, we go down. It's getting competitive now. Like, it's starting to come down. I can see where the tents are, the finish line, and all that. And I'm like, that's where the candle truck is, right on the finish line. And I'm getting pumped. And all of a sudden, we have like maybe 300 feet to go. The straight shoot down through these pine trees, beautiful. And there's probably 50 people backed up trying to like manage their bikes to get through this little skinny before the finish because they don't want 50 people coming wide, so it gathers everybody up. So I see the fences like going straight down, but also on the left side there's this huge bank, and if you go around, you could probably shoot straight in. And these two guys get ahead of me, and they're like talking shit, like, "Oh, Nixon, oh!" And I'm like, I got nothing to lose, right? Shoot up, come down, come across the finish. We didn't start at the same time, but I did finish for those guys. Come out of the finish line, sit down in the candle truck, like, oh, that's kind of one of my tricks too. I like get back really quick to pretend I've been there for 20 minutes. I sit down, and my mechanic there, Patrick. And he's like, what's going on, man? I'm like, nothing. And one of the guys looks over, takes his helmet, puts it on top, and goes, hey, Nixon! We both look over, and the guy goes, like that, rides by. And the mechanic goes, who's that? And I'm like, oh, that's John Tomac and Greg Herbold, the first DH world champ ever.
Oh, my God.
Blew my mind. Blew my fucking mind. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got stories like that.
But that's the kind of, there's nobody on this planet. They may not totally understand who the rider might be, right? But there's nobody on the planet that's not leaning in while you're telling that story. That's the kind of stuff, man. Those stories.
But those are karma things. Those are karma moves. Like, you got on that gondola because you put down good karma at some point in your life, and those guys recognized it. That's what I think. I mean, it's spiritually.
No, I can't deny it. I can't deny the fact that, like, I don't think Nixon has any natural predators. I don't think there's a natural predator.
Are you T-Rex, bro?
No.
They had predators. What was that bigger one? There was a bigger one that ate the T-Rex.
Oh, it was like well, there was a flying one now that it looks like the Egyptian. Remember the podcast we will not name was talking about? It had like a flying pterodactyl thing that could kill T-Rexes.
They could eat
Didn't all pterodactyls fly?
Well, it was the size of a giraffe, but it could run 80 mile an hour and fly.
Yeah.
But it was a predator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's definitely movie, huh?
It definitely is it's a weed bird for sure.
That's John
Look at that
Tomac
guy.
at the Kamikaze with a drop bar on a downhill.
Oh,
unbelievable.
That dude was world champ cross country, and in the same year got a second on the DH.
Now that would never happen now, right? That no one would allow that to happen, right? Or do you think
it will
bike technology changed that?
No, it will happen. There'll be some like super athlete that can do it all, and he'll step into both, and he'll be able to do that. We've had a Florida guy that's in his 60s that won the last year's national championship, I think on the e-bike or the cross country. Did really well from West Palm Beach, and then for giggles, he borrowed a DH bike and did the DH and won that. Arguably, most of the field's dead already at that point, but there were enough to have a race, and he was the fastest of the not dead guys. So, yes, there are super athletes out there that will be able to do that. We'll see that again at some point.
The one super athlete that I followed this year was Tom Pidcock that did the Tour de France and then raced the Olympics.
Dude, yeah.
He's a super athlete. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love watching him at the Tour because all the downhill stuff, like the downhill curvy stuff, he's passing everyone, and everybody's like, who is this psycho? It's like, oh, no, he's a mountain biker. He's a mountain biker.
That's
most tour guys that don't really, it's difficult to say because I'm out of my league, but most tour guys that don't rely so much on their team, that are so good individually, were trail riders. So like Cadell Evans won the Tour de France. He was world champ. He was a trail racer for Volvo Cannondale. I'm not thinking of the other guys now, but there's a bunch of dudes that were just Peter Sagan, mountain bike before road bikes. But once you realize, wait, I can make way more money doing this than mountain biking, I'll do that for a while.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's like any pro athlete. I mean, it's kind of like when someone asks me to shoot video, they think that I just love to shoot video, but that's not the truth. I love to make money, and it happens to be with video. So, if there's something that, like, I'm doing a lens test in a few weeks, and that is literally I rented $3,000, which is a lot for rentals of lenses, to just test them. I'll do that for free because I enjoy that side of it. But I'm not going to go shoot your event, your wedding, your party, your whatever.
Your boy's mountain bike trip.
Yeah, I'm not doing any of that business unless you're going to pay me. But I wonder if it's the same way as, like, if you're a trail rider, you're not going to make much money, but you ride on the tour, suddenly you have a chance to make money, and then trail riding becomes fun again because it's back to being, it's like.
I believe that. Yeah. And if the pressure's off you, look at Pitcock. Not that he's not under great pressure, but he obviously deals with it really well on the track. On the tour, there's a lot of guys that are better than him, and he's very, very good and could be in contention, but also to be able to slide out and do these braces and be not competitive, but the best is incredible.
It's hard. It's really hard to do.
No, I get it.
Speaking from experience. You guys both just walked right into that.
Yeah, you teed us.
I Nixoned you.
You did Nixon me. I actually had a thought from last episode. I'd be curious to see, since you've been around it, you've been around all this stuff. What was your take on, like, major athletes outside of other sports endorsing mountain biking now? Like, you had the LeBron scenario and some other guys. What is your take on that kind of thing? Obviously, it's good for biking, but do you have another take on it?
It's good for biking. It's. I was listening to Dale say something about it. It's great for biking because it grows it. It doesn't grow it like LeBron being who he is, arguably the best. But it does a lot for it, for sure. It gets a lot of times when it's a basketball star, they do a lot of, like, charitable stuff with that. It's often with a charity. So LeBron in 2007 bought a huge stake in Cannondale.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't realize that.
So yeah, they made a bike for him. They made a personal bike for him, but then also they sold bikes that had gold lame riding in it. So it was a 29er, fully rigid mountain bike that people would, like, work out. It had, like, slick tires, so it was more of a road bike, but a fun bike for big guys.
Yeah.
It came in different sizes, but that all went towards sales for King James for Kids, where it was basically funding bike rides and money for kids and single mothers all over Cleveland, which a lot of people didn't hear about, but he wasn't doing it for the people. He was doing it for the single moms and the whatever. So I love it that people do that. We've had a bunch of basketball guys get it, a couple of football guys too, but they do tend to side with the charity thing. It makes them money, but it also does a lot of good for wherever they're playing or living at the time.
I thought it was interesting that recently, as of late, I guess traveling more outside of this area, paying attention, a lot of the bike shop, or some of the bike shops, because I've been in Texas and some other, I've had a busy month, but there's a lot. I've seen quite a few Cannondale shops, just not in this area, obviously not here. But then I also noticed, I guess I didn't realize that Cannondale was in REI, which I think is probably a pretty good business move. I know they have their co-op brand or whatever it is, but I saw a couple of Cannondales were great looking bikes just right there. In fact, one of my buddies was like, look at that Stumpy. I was like, that's not a Stumpy, it's a Cannondale. But it's interesting to see that, like, that brand still has a very strong presence beyond what I think sometimes popular culture says. And that brand is very strong, and there's people riding it, and it exists in a way that I think is unique because of the legacy of what Cannondale's had. I mean, obviously the legacy is what I'm really focused on, but
right. It's completely geographical, specific to the area. So, like, if you're in Miami, Cannondale is if not one of the two premier brands down there where people go crazy for it. And so different parts of Florida have that. Tallahassee didn't have that 8 years ago, but it's starting to grow. We've sold now 32 scalpels out of one small store in 3-4 years, which is fantastic because it's starting to be a thing where it wasn't a thing. We had a dealer, but it wasn't doing much to push the brand. But now it's starting to get a lot more, it's starting to get out there quite a bit to be like, all right, well, it's a viable concept. It obviously works. It obviously is pretty quick, pretty decent, easy to work on. It's all those things come to. My challenge is trying to grow this area's awareness of the brand. Not trying to be like it's the best, just saying like, hey, this is an option. If that bike doesn't fit you, try this one. So it's really growing around here, and same with every state. Like Atlanta, Cannondale's huge. You get out of Valdosta, you won't even hear about it. So it's all different little spots.
No, I think it's interesting to me because it's like so much of the bike stuff is so trendy driven and popular driven, and you've heard me complain about buying a boutique bike that went out of business and that whole process of whatever. I ride an Ibis now and it's great and I love it. And there's everything I love about the bike, and it rides better, and it's a low travel bike. I'm not on a DH bike anymore or anything, even an enduro bike. I'm on a Ripley. So I'm at 120 mil, but it's still like just that difference, and the riding is better. And had there been a Cannondale for me to get closer to, then I could have gone to a Cannondale. I don't care. I'm not a brand loyalist. I just want to ride a bike that feels good.
And
like
supported by your dealer network. You want to ride somewhere where you can take it to that's around the corner from you. I tell people that all the time. It's more important to establish a relationship with a shop and a mechanic, and then that's your go-to thing. And then if they don't care anymore or whatever, you're more apt to buy from that place again, which is close to your house. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating stuff. Did you so when you nowadays, again, because you're in that ethos, have you seen, we've talked about this a little bit before where we talked about group rides shifting over time, and I don't want to necessarily revisit that, but again, just kind of using this as a reflective episode, have you seen the group ride change? Was there ever a point prior to us being riders where like solo riding was the thing? Has it always been in mountain biking? Because it seems like roadies they'll ride in a pack if they don't want to get hit by cars, but it seems like they're more isolated to some extent. My experience with them has been. But have you seen, like, over the years, has the progress of the vibe changed over time to where we are more communal than we used to be? And pardon my ignorance, I'm just asking you have a little more experience in that world.
No, I think the vibe has always been there way before I was even riding a bike. I think, Mount Tam, San Francisco in the early 70s, I think that's the same vibe that you're looking for, that you create, that I'm looking for, that I create, that I also go to group rides that I have nothing to do with. And I like being that part of the vibe, being like, oh, I'm just here to get told what to do and not go too fast or too slow. I love that. So I think that's always been a thing. I think that I rode alone for so long that I wasn't even aware of group rides until I was on my road bike, and I was like, oh, look at this, 50 people riding a bike together. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then got dropped for the next 20 years. But that was also fun because I eventually got to those, what I mean? Like going through the paces of, it's hard to tell someone who comes like, hey, you're going to get dropped a bunch. And then you're going to stay up longer. But that's part of seeking out that vibe if you're looking for that social aspect of riding a bike. I think it's always been the same.
I'm just always curious to see where it shifts around. I mean, I guess to me, it's like, because I'm awoke. I'm woke now. I've awakened to that idea, and maybe I didn't have it necessarily.
Live here first. We are running for president.
Oh, we are. Yeah. I am running for president, and Nixon will be our minister of athletics.
There we go.
Insider. He's going to be. Oh, Nixon's our political insider.
Ah. Perfect.
Ad campaign.
He was waiting. He's been patiently waiting for some.
Let's suck up the water first. Okay, tech tip real quick. I know everybody knows this stuff, but I just want to share a little bit of what I see at the shop that people don't know. I assume they know, but they don't know sometimes. So it's pretty basic. It's lubing your chain. Goes like this.
Oh no.
You can take a lube like Rock and Roll Gold's my favorite because it sheds dirt really well. Shake it up. Go to the chain, just point on the chain, and go around one time while squeezing it. One time. The magic is you put this back on, get a paper towel, and then all you're going to do is take it all off, which sounds counterintuitive. Most things I do are. And that's it.
Chain.
That's lubing your chain. And the reason you take it off, and probably everybody knows this, but the reason you take it off is because the metals that are on the cassette and the chain are where the money is. So that's all slippery and slidey, metal to metal anyways. They use nickel. They use a hardened chrome. They use a PVD, which is I was trying to read about that, what it's called. It was pretty interesting. It sounded very fancy, but I couldn't remember it. Physical vapor deposition. Anyways, just to say different coatings, that's what slides sideways up and down the cassette. But the rollers inside the chain need to have lube so they can flex over the cassette through the pulleys over the chain ring, and that only needs to be inside. So once you have it dripped, take it all off. That also takes a lot of the dirt off, which my chain wasn't too bad after yesterday, but that cleans it as well at the same time. And now it's clean, ready to go, all lubed. And if you don't wipe it off, shit sticks to it, and then it grinds up and basically sandblasts all your parts, and you go buy new stuff at the bike shop. So that's just a basic lubing your chain.
I actually didn't know about I didn't consider the idea. I knew about the process, but I never considered the idea behind the metals in the cassette versus, I just never really realized it. I'm not very mechanical. My brain doesn't work that way.
But that's what I remember the day in the 80s spraying all my gears and the chain, spraying everything, being like, oh, more lube has got to be good lube, I'm sure. And then shit just would attach to it and get nasty. You have that black chain ring tattoo on your leg, and it just made more sense. Like, oh, it's way easier to clean. It stays cleaner longer. It's quieter. And that rock and roll, I'm not getting paid by them, but we sell that stuff 10 to 1 at the shop. It's amazing. The rock and roll.
What about weirdos that wax their chains and other things?
I wax my chains.
Yeah, they're fall in that group of guys that buy a 64.5 Mustang and take 40 years to build it. That's great. That's great. I got a ride tomorrow, so wax your chains, do your thing. That's great. I will talk shit to you. I will drop you. That's fine. It's not a challenge. It's just everybody has their own thing. That's great. I also don't have wood wheels for the same reason. They were cool. They're not cool. We moved on.
Hey, I do use when I was using lube, I did use the gold one that you just used, but now I'm moved on. I don't even know the name of it anymore. I use absolute black wax.
The other day we pulled up. This is no joke, and I love him, and so maybe I won't say who it was, but we pulled up to the bike park, and one of our guys had a crock pot in his truck, trying to melt the wax on his chain, and it's just. And of course, he asked me, he was like, "Hey, do you have your generator?" I was like, "I don't have it with me. Why would I bring my generator?" And he was like,
"Wow,
well, I need to plug in a crock pot." It's like,
it wasn't me.
I was kind of hoping he had like little weenies with barbecue sauce on them.
I know when he asked for he's like, "I got a crock pot plugged in." I'm like, "Oh, he's bringing food? That's pretty sweet."
Yeah, it would have been amazing.
It was not food.
Rotel dip while you ride your bike. Can you imagine that diarrhea? Oof.
Yeah.
Not for me.
I've never seen that at the trail, but that's a bold move. I don't know if they were trolling you or not. Is that the Todd? I won't say a name.
No, it wasn't.
No, but I will say the same gentleman brought up a very good point. Have you ever seen your neighbors actually carry in groceries?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Only because I help them sometimes. Yeah.
Well,
that's different. That. Yeah, well, you just debunked our whole conspiracy theory that birds aren't real and that your neighbors don't carry in groceries.
We'll tell you about the other conspiracies off air because our presidential campaign is riding on it.
You might do better expressing them. I hear crazy works a lot.
Not these. We don't want to express these.
the wrong expression in this day and age is equivalent to none. I know another thing I was going to ask you about. Sometimes when I think about, again, because I like the idea that you have more knowledge about all this stuff to me, but working in a bike shop, aside from the lubing your chain thing, which I actually think is pretty relevant. I don't think a lot of people maybe understand why they just do it. Like I've always used Rock and Roll Gold because the first guy that gave me a bike said, use Rock and Roll Gold. And I was like, yes, sir. And I've never changed. And you reinforce that. But what is like the most common thing that comes in that bikers don't know, but a mechanic knows? It's just like, oh, come on, bro. You could have fixed it so easy. Like, what have you seen over the years? What has been the number one? And it may not be relevant anymore, but what was the number one thing?
I think flat tires is always that's kind of a moneymaker for a shop because labor and tubes are good moneymakers, and it's if you know how to do it, it's pretty quick. So you make the money because it's so quick, and tubes are they're relatively cheap, but you have to have a tube. So the most common one is someone will leave with a brand new bike and come back in a day or a month or a year and say like, I just bought this bike you didn't, but that's okay. And I can't believe it got a flat tire already. And I've grown a lot, surprisingly, where as a 25-year-old guy in the shop was like, pull it out and show them big thorn, be like, duh, I don't do that anymore. We try to soften it and be like, you know what, we probably didn't explain to you that this could happen without saying that part. And we just say, hey, if you'd like to hang around, let's take it apart together and see what it is. And then they can see it be taken apart, and we pull the thorn out or the piece of glass, and then we also reinforce, like, hey, when you do this, sweep your fingers carefully on the inside of the tire, see if something's happening. So that, I think the most common one is that. Second to drivetrains wearing out. There's a lot of, especially dudes, self-defense, like, it's brand new. And you look at the computer, no lie, it might be a year, it might be 5 months. It's not brand new. I saw you riding on every Kohl's ride. Those guys don't do that, but it's. I think they have good intentions of being like, well, I haven't ridden it that much, but really, they've ridden it into the ground sometimes. They just don't think about it because it's not a car and it doesn't have a maintenance meter, and they don't think about it. And we're not calling them to say like, hey, bring your bike in. So it's a good chance to educate the consumer on like, hey, it's a wearable item. It's going to wear out. You're wearing it out because you're having fun. That's good. Come on, let's get something new. Let's upgrade or stay the same or get some cheaper. Either way, let's go.
That sounds good. I mean, I'm just always curious because I think it's the same thing. One of the guys that rides with us now, Christy, he works at a bike shop now, and it seems like when he tells me stories, customer complaints, it's always the bike's fault. Like the bike just absolutely killed this person. It's always the bike, and it's like, oh, what about the rider? I didn't. I pedaled as intended to jump off that curb. That's way too big for me.
Speaking of that, we had a guy test ride a bike on Friday. He test rode a brand new this bike in a large, I think. He test rode it for about 4 minutes, ran into a curb with the back wheel, and broke the wheel. Now, Cannondale hologram wheels are 2 years from the date of purchase of the bike or wheel set, which the bikes come with them. 2 years, no questions asked. You run into a curb, you run over with your car, it gets lost or whatever. Well, not lost maybe, but if it gets damaged in any way, they'll replace it. They can fix or replace it. So that's pretty amazing for a very lightweight, very strong wheel set. But yeah, the consumer is, as you work at a bike shop or any business, you start to see the patterns coming up, and there are times when it is the bike, but it's so rare. And we take lessons to drive a car. We take lessons to learn how to type. I don't know if they do that anymore, but we take these lessons to do things. And we look at a bike and how we entrust our lives on these machines that are so small and little, and we don't think like, yeah, I should probably learn how to shift, not under load. I should learn how to turn. I should learn how to maintain my bike. But it's like this escape to fun, and last thing I want to do is in the heat put it up somewhere and try to lube my chain and just want to have it done. Which, there's guys that come into our shop once a month, drop the bike off, and it's unspoken because it was spoken. Whatever it needs, I want to come in another week and go for another 3 weeks. And those are the least frustrated customers we have. Yes, it does cost money, but their shit is always rolling.
Yeah, they're flying with perfection.
Yeah, I have since got a new bike, and it's been like kind of tedious in the small things I've had to adjust that I otherwise hadn't on previous bikes. I thought about this the other day when I was like Googling some things about the bike and the new frame design, and people are just like destroying it. And I'm like, but if you ride it, stuff is going to go wrong with it, right? Like if you ride it the way it's meant to be ridden, you're going to have to adjust things. You should, because
right.
Somebody said, well, do you think they drive race cars and don't touch them afterwards and then go drive them again?
Right.
Like, no,
right.
You have to fix it. I'm pushing the weight limit on the whole thing anyway, and I'm riding it pretty hard. So I'm trying to this is me talking to myself right now and like talking myself out of throwing the bike off.
The therapy part of the podcast.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's not, I love the bike. I love everything about it, but it's been a process of like, what is that noise? Why is that noise happening? It's like getting to know your girl again.
No, I have a friend that can't get past it, and like any click or sound, he's very OCD, and I love him, but it drives him, and he'll call me on the trail, be like, "Hey, what do you think this is?" Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, man. It just sounds like a clicking sound. Like I don't know where it's coming from.
It's a leaf, and
he called me the other day, and he's like, "Should my wheel look like this?" That was the quote, and I looked down, and his hub was completely disengaged. And I was like, "No, where are you?" He was like, "I'm about 5 miles in." I was like, you gotta take the wheel off, attempt to maybe if it slides, I don't know how your hub, and just walking him through it. And he was like, I kept riding. I got to mile 8. I was like, was it a loop at least? He was like, no.
Oh,
I just got no.
Oh, yeah.
And this poor bastard walked out. And then he's that same guy, though. He takes his bike to the bike shop, dumps it off. But his bike shop also repairs watches. So they're kind of questionable at best.
And iPhones.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think there are demographic
Yeah.
voters?
Yeah. We replaced your screen, sir.
You know,
Come again.
I had a bike I was working on this morning, and the guy wanted all new transmission and wanted his brake lines trimmed because it was a new bike, and he wanted the brake lines trimmed in and all that. And I looked and I saw this bike is probably 6 weeks old, and he had like heavy corrosion in one of the eyelets of the shock and in his dropper post cable. And I'm like thinking, well, that's high pressure water or a different detergent or something. And it's a trick because you don't want to accuse the guy of something. You just kind of like, I showed him pictures. He's like, what's that? I'm like, well, it's corrosion. And he works with chemicals and stuff too. And he's like, well, where did that come from? I'm like, well, it could be. It's all in the wording, right? It could be high pressure water or a different chemical. And immediately he was like, no, like every guy. But to his credit, he did say, I do air dry it. And I was like, boom, that's it. Don't air dry. Don't blow air. Don't try to force any of these happy juices like grease and lube. Don't try to force everything out. Yes, it'll be really clean, but it'll be a shit show the first time you go ride it. So just towel dry it. No forceful water, no crazy chemicals that aren't used on paint and stuff like that. Just take your time, wash it, or bring it to the shop. We'll wash it for you for a fee, whatever. But yeah, and sometimes in maintaining, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to also fuck it up.
Yeah, that's like a Dale's seat situation. That
Oh my God, yeah, the seat we talked about on the podcast previous episodes, but went to build my new frame, got the new frame. Pat comes over to help me. We got it all planned out. All the parts are laid in my living room. Everything's going great. The dropper post in my old frame was literally stuck.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
to the point of no, because I never adjusted it. It is what it is. I just left it, and that reminds me now I'm going to go home and just loosen mine up and just give her
an old shake.
Yeah, Pat ended up using some chemicals that he won't tell me what it was, and it came out and it didn't hurt the frame or the dropper post, but it was quite a process.
Yeah, a little bit of that like carbon paste was good sometimes in there, depending if it's is it carbon.
It was
frame?
aluminum. No, it was aluminum and aluminum that bonded together.
So a little bit it won't typically slip, but a little bit of grease around the whole thing, and maybe like an inch is good enough to make it. And once a month, just pull it out, put it back. That's it.
Yeah, that's all. It was I should have known because I have a BMX bike from '95 that's chromoly, and it got an aluminum post stuck in it, and I had to use like caustic soda and let it boil it out, and I should have known. It's just one of those. I'm too old enough to know better, but still.
No, but I think that's a tip. I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't think about it. I mean, I'm one of those lazy schmucks that like does the bare minimum maintenance.
It was a $400 mistake, because I had to buy another seat post just to get my bike. There it is.
After you've already spent the money on a new one. Is there anything else we want to touch on?
I just wanted to. Did you happen to see, Nixon? Did you happen to see some Jagrundy Jubilee information floating around out there?
I did see it on my MySpace, and I was curious about it.
It was on MySpace.
It's almost like someone from Alabama was saying "drag your undies" or something. It was like, what kind of party is this? I'm in. If it's drag your undies, I was thinking like Coppertone Girl, but obviously over 18. It didn't make sense to me. But Darren.
Hey, wait! That Coppertone Girl is far over 18 by now.
Yeah.
By the way.
Okay. Either way, I did. Darren Alexander, who you guys know, is the president of a club up there. He was talking about possibly going. I was like, all right, well, that seems like but there's also a race coming up around that time. So I'm the last minute Susie where I'm like, okay, what's going on this weekend? What's the best option?
Yeah.
Where is Dale not going to be? That's where I'm going to go.
That's fine.
So I just got to figure out where. It's all coordination, triangulation, all that.
So we originally we called it the Jack Rundy. Who is that? Oh, is that LeBron? Look at how you pulling up all these LeBrons.
I don't know.
He had them queued up.
Yeah.
Impressive. So originally they were calling it the Jack Rundy when we were up there. Jagrundy is an actual cat. Well, Jody was saying that there was Jack Rundys out there. We were camping. We were just going to ride, Pat and Jake and I. And we thought, what is a Jack? And finally I was like, dude, what's a Jack Rundy? Like, who is this dude? Like, I don't want him coming out of the woods and attacking me. So that was the joke, was it's a Jack Rundy. So we were like, let's have a festival here. The Stockyard is a private mountain bike park. You have to pay to go to. Well, Jody is opening it up for this mountain bike festival, and it's $40 for the whole weekend. You come on Friday. It's Friday and Saturday. We're going to camp out there. So for $40, you could camp. There's going to be some races, like minimal races. Like let's use race loosely. There's going to be some events. We're going to do like some short track XC stuff, some women's races, some kids races, some fun Duro stuff, things like that. But mostly what I say is let's just have a hangout. Let's have a camp out. Let's just ride bikes and camp out and maybe ride. I'm not racing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to ride my bike when I want and camp when I want.
Oh,
It's
bullshit.
kind of like your Pisgah trip.
I'm not racing.
Yeah,
I'm
you
retired.
are. You can't. Yeah, you retire every time. 5 minutes after every race, you retire. 6 minutes, you sign up for the next year. What dates is that?
September 20th and 21st. And it's at the stockyard.
I will literally make
by
a
compound.
graphic video if you say you're coming. It's going to be like Dale will show all the footage, and then I'm just going to CGI you into it. It'd be like featuring Nixon.
You
It
know,
may not be you, but it'd be your face on someone's body. It'll be amazing.
It could be
On the
President
copper
Nixon
tongue.
with like long hair, President Nixon, Dick Nixon, and they won't know. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't kill the festival so fast. Do you guys? Speaking of Grundy, do you remember the old cartoons Solomon Grundy?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's a spooky character. I think Scooby Doo was it Scooby Doo or somebody.
Scooby Doo, but he's also a DC character, so he's from Superman.
Oh, he's a.
Hey,
Did you guys see
Scooby Doo?
Did you guys see Deadpool 3?
I did. It was fantastic.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
I told Dale he would like it. He doesn't even like that stuff, but I was like, this one's so funny because it's just jabbing at Fox the entire time. You can't help but laugh. And there's a lot of inside movie jokes in that some people, the theater I was in, nobody laughed. I'm laughing my butt off because I know what those terms mean in times of the film industry. And they say stuff. He's like, I don't want to get killed by a day player. I know what that means. I know what kind of insult that is. So to me, it was great. I loved it. Loved every second of it.
If you don't like Marvel movies, like Elise does not like Marvel movies, and she loved it. She's like, that's what they're all like. I said, no, this is the best of them. But
It is definitely. It's very specific for it.
Yeah, we were Scooby Doo yesterday. Not to date the video, but
Yeah.
we found a stolen bulldozer on our property.
I saw it. Was somebody driving it?
Well,
away.
Yeah.
So we roll up and I was like, what are all these? Because the road is destroyed. And we're like, what are all these tracks? And I mean, it was like deep. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're going to fix the road again because the water board helps us out a good bit. And we roll up on it and it's a massive, what was it, an 850K or something?
It was a 8900 D6.
Yeah, the guy told me it was a $500,000 mover. And this thing was like the size of a real tank. Like it was the biggest bulldozer I've seen up close like that.
It was Killdozer for sure.
Yeah, 100% a Killdozer. So it turns out we called the mayor. We have a Mayor Gates. Joey Gates is the mayor of the Reb town. We called the mayor of the Reb, and he, of course, called around, found out who owned it. They had GPS. We also had some lumber stolen, but only 2 pieces of very specific long, like 2x4 type stuff. And so the guy gets there that's gonna get it, and he gets out and he's wearing a Pistolero shirt. He's got his gun on.
Huh.
He looks like what I would imagine a recovery of someone who goes and recovers stolen bulldozers would look like for sure.
Big business.
Wouldn't he hardly even speak to us? Was friendly enough. He gets in his truck and drives down to where I guess they had on GPS. Sure enough, he's like, your wood's down there, but didn't bother to bring it up. Just left it down there and just didn't give 2 squats about us. We're the one that saved his butt and called it in.
Okay, well, let's be fair. There was a random group of people.
That's true.
With helmets on, riding mountain bikes in the woods on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So in his defense, looks a little awkward.
Maybe.
No, I mean,
maybe.
Yeah.
Who all met him at the top like the kids from Goonies. That's the worst part. Is like we met him like, hey, mister, your thing's right over here. Come on, Scoops. And so the guy gets in, he just drives that thing off, and come to find out. So what happened was somebody was joyriding. They hit a creek. They hit a creek. They got stuck. They came back to our property, stole some wood to try and, just get their way out. The Civic.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Walked over a mile and a half, it must have had a John Deere key, found this bulldozer, drove it from a neighboring piece of property all the way around, all the way down to the creek, pulled whatever vehicle was stuck out, and then just left it on the top of our hill.
Like stage parked it. Like didn't just leave it jagged.
Yeah, it was on the top. Like it looked like it was
parked.
posed for a photograph.
Those are some nice. That's a nice criminal act.
Yeah. The only thing we figured is maybe they were just like, I don't feel like driving this damn thing all the way back. You know, they just got lazy at that point.
Yeah.
They're like,
They'll find it.
yeah, they'll find it.
Well, that's good. It's good that the bulldozer wasn't in there doing damage. That's fantastic.
Well, that's what we were scared of. We actually thought it was there to,
Of course.
It was it. Yeah. And like we all had like, and the doom got worse because when we called the mayor calls the water board and the water board's like, that ain't ours. And we're like, oh no.
Yeah, it's above our.
This is it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. This is it. This is the end, boys. Say
Yeah,
goodbye.
We went through all the channels and it just kept getting deeper
Yeah,
and deeper.
right.
And we were like, oh my God. Then we started thinking about Chickasaw not being open. We're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Then the mayor called back. We figured it out.
And Dirt Church.
I do want to.
The dirt church.
It was a Dirt Church Heroes for sure. I do want to do this. Nixon, I would like for you to consider, it's too hot right now, and I'm not coming to Florida to spend more time in the heat. I would like for you to consider a weekend in which open call that a bunch of just ratty pieces of garbage that listen to this podcast just come down to Tallahassee, and we get at least just one epic Nixon Coles ride, whatever you want to make it. It doesn't have to be with your Coles Brotherhood, but the rest, but just whoever descends, we make a weekend and we show up and we come down and we literally, I'll even drink cider.
But I even said we can't drive that weekend. We have to ride our bikes.
Yeah,
only
we
that
can't
whole
drive.
Weekend.
Nobody can drive.
We
Once
live
you park your
for
cars,
the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, y'all can. I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but we have a big backyard. You can pitch tents. You can bring a trailer back here. You can, as long as it's lower than, I guess, 10 feet or whatever. But I mean, you could be in the backyard for a couple days and a night if that helps. That'd be fine. There's Airbnbs all over the place, but you can stay with us. We have two extra bedrooms, so we can house a couple of your type, which I'm not sure what the other types are, but we could make it happen for sure. Yeah, we could.
All I'm saying is I think we could. Good.
Yeah, we got enough trails to where we can make anything happen. That's no doubt.
I just think that if you have a little like a it's like Jank Fest without so much jank. So it's just like
Or organization.
or yeah, that too.
More fest than jank.
More fest than jank. Yeah.
That's what Jagrundy Mountain Bike Fest is.
Right.
Just festy.
It's just fest, more fest than anyway. All right, we're going to turn you loose, pal, because we're going to record the rest of this episode and then let you go on your merry way.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. I'm always flattered that you guys listen to me. I really like what you guys are doing. You increase the stoke with your listeners, and I'm one of your listeners. I know it's every 2 weeks because I mow the grass every 2 weeks, and I'm out there grumbling, going, fuck, they got that wrong too. Oh, jeez, I can't believe they mentioned me in that little tear. But I get excited for it. I love it. You guys do a great thing, and I'm more than happy to be a part.
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm lucky that we have this, so I get to spend time with you. But I can't wait to physically see you in person because, hands down, one of the joy. I've told you this before. A joy of my life is meeting you. Truly, one of the joys of my life. So I can't wait to see you again.
It was a purely disaster that I met you, actually. Oh, I
Love
met
you
you
too,
in the
man.
hotel lobby, baby.
Appreciate you. Talk soon. Bye.
See ya.